Hello everybody and welcome back to a very different video on my channel. And since we're doing something different today, I'm going to switch up my drink. Mostly because I'm out of Coke, so we're going to have some Sprite today. And what's weird is I don't drink soda all that much anymore anyway, just because it gives me the shakes and I have a high heart rate because of it, so I don't like doing that. But I don't feel complete unless I'm drinking something while I'm filming. I've always been a fan of these kinds of things. I remember when John Flickinger would do these like every other day, like 5-6 years ago, and I would always get hooked onto them. And he was actually the main guy that really influenced me to start collecting stuff. I've always loved movies, obviously, but I never really collected them until I started watching his stuff because it was really cool. And I realized that there's a very, very niche population of people that loves this kind of thing, which is part of the reason why I never did something like this, just because, again, it's a very small niche population. But I've gotten more requests than you might think to do something like this. I've gotten comments, I've gotten DMs, I've gotten comments from people in my real life to talk about my collection. So that's what we're gonna do today. Sorry if it doesn't live up to your expectations. It's just I'm 18 years old and I don't have money, and movies in America are much more expensive than you might think, especially Disney movies because corporate America. First, we're gonna go with box sets, just because big ones that don't really fit in my shelf. We're gonna get those out of the way first. And disclaimer, I can't show this to you, but I technically have the Bond 50 collection. The problem is my house flooded like 3 years ago and destroyed about $350 worth of my collection, and that entire set went down the toilet, so the entire box is completely broken and jumbled, so I don't even want to bother showing it. I still have the discs somewhere. It's just they're kind of all scratched to hell, so there's like a 50-50 chance if you ever want to watch a Bond movie that I own, it's going to be totally skippy. So that sucked, but I still technically own it. Box sets. The first one is a Pirates of the Caribbean one. It has 1 through 4 in here. It's like, obviously the chest. It broke. A lot of my stuff is broken. It used to like open like the actual chest here, but now it just kind of lifts off like a lid because the hinge is broke on the back, but it comes, the discs are in like a little medallion, and then it comes with the map from the third movie. Just chilling in here. Something very simple, but I really like the packaging. It's nice and compact, I guess. Maybe let's not set that down on a printer. That's a bad idea. Next, we've got the Stanley Kubrick Director's Collection. Stanley Kubrick, probably the best filmmaker of all time, and the most consistent. It comes with Lolita, Dr. Strangelove, 2001: A Space Odyssey, Clockwork Orange, Barry Lyndon, The Shining, Full Metal Jacket, and Eyes Wide Shut. Eyes Wide Shut is one of the most underrated and overlooked films ever made, and it turned me into a conspiracy theorist. I believe many conspiracy theories about that film, and I don't believe in conspiracy theories, so watch it if you haven't. But don't watch it with your parents. Don't. I swear to God, do not watch that movie with your parents. Also, I'm probably not going to talk about a lot of these just because I own a lot of movies, and I don't want to talk about all of them individually. I'll probably end up talking about most of them individually because I can't really stop myself, but I'm going to try to keep most of it to a minimum. Up next, we've got the Dark Knight Trilogy box set. This thing's kind of falling apart. It's old, and the packaging is not that great. I kind of need to order a new one, but like the back hinges things are kind of peeling off. But it comes with, obviously, the Dark Knight Trilogy. It's got some action figures, some concept art, and like a glossy concept art book. So it's got some nice little tidbits in here for sure. Up next is the Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 1 box set in Nick Fury's briefcase. So it's got Captain America, Hulk, the first 2 Iron Mans, Thor, and the Avengers in here, plus like a bonus disc. They made one of these for Phase 2, but I don't have it, and they never made one for Phase 3, which kind of sucks, because I kind of wanted to have all 3, but it's nice. It opens up. There's a Tesseract in here, and there's like everybody's OG Avengers file up here, so there's nice some memorabilia in there. I remember when I ordered this, a bunch of stuff from the Captain America file was missing, and I emailed the people, and they were like, just return it to your seller. And I was like, well, I ordered it off of Amazon, and this is before Amazon did returns to Kohl's. So I was like, all right, I guess I just got screwed, but it wasn't that big of a deal. And then the last huge box set I own is it's really dusty because I keep it away from all the other Blu-rays, but it's Die Hard, and it comes with it's a Nakatomi Plaza statuette. So you open it up in here, and you can like take out the box set of all the movies, and it's got like some like baseball card looking things of all the villains in it. So it's neat, and obviously I like the figurine. It's just, oh my God, you see that? See the dust fly everywhere? It's dusty as shit. Sorry about the camera angle change. I had to do some adjusting. Okay, now we're gonna go into individual titles. We're gonna go in alphabetical order, starting with the numbers. It's going to take a while, but here we go. We got 10 Cloverfield Lane. This was a weird film when I originally saw it, because when I saw it in the theater, I was expecting it to connect more to the overall Cloverfield story. And when I was younger, it's kind of grown on me now, but I originally hated the original Cloverfield movie, so I didn't know what to expect going into this one. And I remember being blown away when I saw it for the first time, just because I had no clue what to expect. And now it doesn't hold up as well, just because it's kind of cliche, especially towards the end. But I think it's, for the first 2/3 of the film anyway, it is a very effective psychological thriller that I think a lot of people don't really talk about a lot, so I would recommend watching it if you have not. Up next is 12 Angry Men, the Criterion. Obviously, it's an essential, one of the best films ever made. Wonderful courtroom drama. All takes place in one room, basically. We have Zack Snyder's 300. I think I've seen maybe half of this movie once. I think I bought it because it was in the $5 bin at Best Buy, and I was curious about it just because of its style, but I don't think I've seen the whole thing all the way through. 1917, great war film. Talked about it before. Disney's Aladdin, not the shitty one, the really good one from the 1990s. One of my favorite OG Disney animated movies, one of the ones that I have the most nostalgia for, and one of the ones that genuinely holds up the best as an adult. We've got Alien 1 through 4. The first two, some of the best science fiction horror films ever made. The last two make me want to leave the gas on in my garage. Hey, you know what? I don't want to say that about Alien 3. Alien 3 has its moments. I'll say that. Alien Covenant, again, has its moments, but it's fine. I like Prometheus more than Alien Covenant. We've got the not-so-amazing Spider-Man. This movie's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's better than some people say, but it's also not nearly as good as some other people say. It's fine. And then the really not-so-amazing Spider-Man 2. This movie sucks. I think I forgot even why I bought it. I think I bought it because I forgot how bad it was. We've got American Gangster, American History X. I think I turned this movie off after the opening scene because I really hated the way it was edited. It seemed very amateur to me. But I know this movie has a reputation and I want to see the whole thing, but I just really didn't like the opening scene, so I wasn't in the mood for sticking through it. But I have to give it another shot because I know that it has its reputation for a reason. American Sniper, really Oscar bait, but pretty good. Annihilation, one of my favorite modern sci-fi mind-screwy horror films I've seen in a while. Really nice girl power movie, too. I'm a fan of girl power movies when they're done right, aka they're just not making shitty improv and screaming about how horrible men are the whole time. This movie's actually really well done, and I really enjoy the cerebral aspect to it. I remember when I saw it, I went out to dinner with a friend, and we talked about it for like 2 hours afterwards, just trying to figure out what the hell the thing meant. Really good. Apocalypse Now. This has Apocalypse Now and Apocalypse Now Redux. I haven't seen Redux, I've just seen the original, so I have to watch Redux. It's just long, and sometimes long movies intimidate me, even though I know they shouldn't. Avengers Infinity War, the Thanos Steel book with the gauntlet. I don't own Endgame just because it was on Disney Plus, and I just haven't gotten around to buying it. And now my printer's going off for some weird reason. I didn't order anything to print. Probably gonna die tonight. We've got Avatar, James Cameron's CGI fest. I'm really mad at myself because I went through this phase about 3 years ago where I hated slipcovers and I threw all my slipcovers away. Biggest regret of my life, because I actually really like the slipcover that came with this thing. And a lot of movies I own had really good slipcovers that I just threw away, and I'm really pissed at myself for that. But this movie I find extremely underrated, and I don't understand why people hate it so much. Yes, it's preachy and its messages are dumbed down like nothing else, but it is genuinely groundbreaking for its time, and I don't think 55 more sequels is necessary, but I am cautiously optimistic for sequels, and I really like this movie a lot, and I don't know why people don't. I really don't. We've got Baby Driver, Edgar Wright's 2017 masterpiece, in my humble opinion. One of the best edited movies in years. It's so much fun. My favorite actor in this film was, of course, Christopher Plummer. And yeah, one of my favorite modern action movies. We've got Batman v Superman, Dawn of Shit. Big Hero 6. Really enjoy. I've always really liked this movie. I always have. I know some people don't like it, and again, I don't know why. Is it just because it's like an Avengers, but for little kids? I really don't know why people don't like this movie. I think it's fun. I think it's got great humor and satire and heartfelt moments. Really enjoy that one. We've got Black Mass. True story about, what's the guy's name? Whitey Bulger. Wonderful performance by Johnny Depp. Everyone's great in this movie. The problem is the pacing is very poor, but I really enjoyed where the story went. I think I've only seen this movie once or twice, but very underrated performance from Johnny Depp that I feel like more people should check out, because Johnny Depp's really getting hit hard right now for reasons that should not be a thing. Not going to get into it because everyone knows about it, but really pisses me off. So watch this movie if you're into something Johnny Depp-like and you haven't seen a performance like that from him before. I think it's great. All right, next is Black Panther. Everyone's seen Black Panther. Don't need to say a thing about it. Black Swan, one of my favorite movies ever, and one of the best steelbooks ever. I got this for $10. Look at it. Look at how sexy this thing is. It's gorgeous. I think it was like a Best Buy deal because they had a bunch of these like gothic home art looking steelbooks for like $10, and this was one of them, and I was like, give it to me now. This movie is unbelievable. If you're looking to start to like analyze cinema on a deeper level, I would highly suggest starting with this film, because there's lots of stuff that's very easily interpretable, but it goes way deeper than that, and there's lots of stuff to unravel, and it's not that hard to, but it's like the perfect little, it's not too hard, it's not too easy, and it's one of my absolute favorites. Blade Runner 2049. I don't own the original Blade Runner, I'm sorry. I actually haven't even seen the original Blade Runner. That's gonna get me canceled, isn't it? But love this movie, it's great. One of the best shot films ever. Great pacing despite its runtime. Phenomenal movie. One of the weirdest movies ever, Blue Velvet. I think I even turned this movie off right at the third act just because I needed to digest it. Not because it was bad, I loved what I was watching, but it was so disturbing and so downright bonkers. It's a David Lynch film. It's so David Lynch that I just had to turn it off to collect myself, and I never really finished it. I need to, though, because it's gorgeous. Bourne Ultimatum. I've never been a fan of the Bourne franchise. I actually think I've only seen this one and not even all the way through. I think I bought it because it was in the $5 bin again. Not bad, just the Bourne movies aren't really my thing. I'm not a fan of the way they're shot. Pixar's Brave. I've talked about this before. I think it's better than people give it credit for, but it's definitely not Pixar's best by any means. Braveheart. Great historical epic. Terry Gilliam's Brazil. The cashier at Barnes & Noble when I got this tells me that this actually has the cut that the studio wanted Terry Gilliam to release, the one with the actual happy ending that sucks. And I'm really intrigued to watch this. I'm really excited about the special features for this because I've only seen the theatrical cut once, and I don't even know how I really feel about it. I definitely feel more positive about it than I don't because it's Brazil, obviously. But I'm intrigued by this studio assembly cut too, because I want to see how bad it is, because Terry Gilliam was very adamant about his ending, which I totally would agree with him on. I think his ending is beautiful, but I'm very intrigued to check that cut. We've got Captain America Civil War, one of the better MCU movies. We've got Captain Phillips, Paul Greengrass movie. Haven't seen it in a while, but I remember it being really good. Kind of Oscar baity at times and very Paul Greengrassy with the shaky cam, but I remember really enjoying it. Castaway, another Tom Hanks movie. We just finished with a Tom Hanks movie. We're coming back to a Tom Hanks movie. Haven't seen this in years, but yeah. The classic film noir Chinatown, phenomenal film, one of the best ever. Another one of the best ever, Citizen Kane. Digibook, found this at a half-priced book. How badass is that? How often do you see digibooks now? Digibooks are basically extinct. I think this might be the only digibook I own, to be honest with you. I love digibooks, and they're so rare. I don't know why people don't buy them enough, because they're probably expensive to make. That's probably what it is. Another one of the best ever, Charlie Chaplin's City Lights. I think this was my introduction to Chaplin. I think it was either this or Modern Times, which is coming up later, but such a beautiful film. Charlie Chaplin was able to capture like the most subtle of emotions with the littlest amount of technology he had. It was beyond a genius, and love this movie to death. Coco, one of Pixar's better films for me anyway. Absolutely gorgeous, stunning animation, makes me cry every time. This is Elem Klimov's Come and See, the 1985 Soviet film. I don't know what I can say about this film that I haven't said before. I actually wrote an analysis on this film for a college essay, just because just looking at this cover freaks me the hell out. It's so... I can't... There's no words to describe this movie. I've said that before. There's really no words to describe this film until you see it. I'm just realizing now the glare on the screen is a little bit weird. You can't really see the titles that well, but wow. Just watch this movie and you'll know what I mean. I'm genuinely speechless. I can't talk about that movie unless I write about it, just because I have to collect myself. Commando. This is such a stupid movie, but it is so much fun. It has Alyssa Milano in it before she went balls to the wall insane. And this movie's like 88 minutes long. And one time I had a friend over and we counted how many people Arnold Schwarzenegger kills in the 88-minute runtime, and it was like 145 people or something crazy like that die in an 88-minute runtime. It's awesome. Crimson Peak, Guillermo del Toro film from 2015. Highly underrated movie in my opinion. I think people didn't like it because it wasn't what they were expecting. It was almost more of a romance movie than it was a horror film, even though there's lots of gothic horror elements to it. But everyone was wanting this movie to be what the last 15 minutes of this movie were. And when you look past that and you take your expectations out of the equation, I think this is a very effective, beautiful Del Toro movie. Obviously not his best, and it's not a masterpiece by any means, but I thoroughly enjoy it. Another underrated kind of gothic horror thriller is A Cure for Wellness from 2017. I think I'm one of like 3 people I know that actually enjoy this film, and I really like it a lot. I genuinely do not understand why people do not like it. It is way too long, and there's lots of stuff in the second act that can be cut out entirely, but besides that, it is extremely effective. It is gorgeously shot. It has a wonderful score, and I like the way it's edited too, and the ending is very nice. It's very Shutter Island-esque in its presentation, and I really enjoy it. Deadpool, revolutionary movie. Doesn't really hold up in quality as much as I think it should, but for its time, I mean, this movie changed the game, and everybody knows that. Martin Scorsese's The Departed. This movie, I think, is ever so slightly overrated, just a smidge. Don't come for me yet. Great movie, obviously. I just don't think it's not Goodfellas. It's not Goodfellas. Come on, it's not. The Die Hard collection from the Nakatomi building that we talked about earlier, I keep it separate just because it's easier. It's more easily accessible. Django Unchained, super sexy steelbook. It's got him on the back. If you seriously watch this movie and think it's racist in any way, just don't watch movies. All right, I've got a Criterion copy of Doctor Strangelove. I also have a copy of it in the Stanley Kubrick collection, but this is my Criterion copy of it. Arrow Video steelbook of Donnie Darko. Masterpiece, absolute masterpiece. Definitely a one-hit wonder from Richard Kelly, but I'm trying to find the director's cut because I thought this came with the director's cut, but it doesn't, and I'm really I really want to watch the director's cut and read that History of Time Travel book because I know that helps to more deeply enrich in this film. But every time I watch it, I am so enthralled and mesmerized by it. I'm so wrapped up in the story and the mystery, and I think about it for days on end every time I watch it. Beautiful social commentary, great performances. It's funny. It's got lots of dramatic moments. It's scary. It's got it all. I mean, if you haven't seen this movie, what the hell are you doing? I mean, I think it takes a few watches to really hit, but once you see it 2 or 3 times, it's amazing. Drive. by Nicholas Winding Refn with Ryan Gosling. Another movie I kind of find a little bit overrated, but that's probably just because I've only seen it once and it wasn't really what I was expecting, so I definitely need to see it again. Still great. It's just very, very strange. It's very Nicholas Winding Refn-esque. Brutal violence, though. Brutal. Dunkirk, Christopher Nolan. All right, we're just getting into the E territory, so this is going to be long. Edge of Tomorrow, Live, Die, Repeat, Cruise, Blunt, Edge Tomorrow, whatever the hell you want to call this movie. Doug Liman. Really good, actually. Surprising action film from 2014. Really nicely done. Edward Scissorhands. E.T., The Extraterrestrial, the 35th anniversary limited edition. No words can describe how much this movie means to me. No word. If I ever hear you badmouth E.T. in front of me, we're not friends anymore. I'm sorry, this movie just means too much to me. I'm sorry. I bought this because I actually own it in a collection that's coming up later, but I wanted to watch it one night, and it skipped once, and I was so furious that I went on Amazon and bought this 2 seconds later. I need to have my E.T. properly presented to me. I'm sorry. Okay, I just have to say this before I move on. E.T. has the best musical score ever written for any film ever. The last 10 minutes or 15 would be nothing without the musical score. It makes me sob like a little baby every time I watch it. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I remember seeing this in a film class I was taking in school, and there's a very subtle editing choice towards the end that really changes the entire course of how you're supposed to think of the film. And I remember I was the only one in class that caught it. And when I caught it, it was so subtle that I thought I was just being like a pretentious film bro douchebag. And then I brought it up to my teacher on the side, and she said that that's what Charlie Kaufman and Michael Conroy were going for. And it is one of the single best editing choices in any film ever, because it totally changes how you feel about the entire film as an experience as a whole. So, great movie. Face Off, stupidest movie ever, but also the funnest movie ever. My favorite part of the whole thing is when, spoiler alert for Face Off from 1997, is when Nick Cage stabs John Travolta at the end of the movie and he just goes, "Die! Die!" And John Travolta's like twitching on the thing. Funniest movie ever. I think this was my introduction to like cringy R-rated 90s action movie territory, like this, The Rock, Broken Arrow, all those movies. And what's the other one I'm thinking of? Con Air. Yeah, this was my introduction to this kind of stuff. Fail Safe. I bought this because a couple YouTube friends were raving about it, and I haven't watched the whole thing through. I watched the first 30 minutes, and I had to turn it off because I had something else going for me. But I'm a little bit concerned because some of the dialogue was really like cheesy for me, even for a 50s film, but that just might be because I haven't seen the whole thing yet, so I'm not going to judge it on that, obviously. The Favorite by Yorgos Lanthimos. Phenomenal. Fight Club. It's Fight Club. Finding Nemo. Finding Dory. First Reformed. This was a major creative influence for a screenplay that I'm developing. The problem is that I have the whole thing played I have the whole idea and story in my mind from frame one to the last frame, the whole thing. The problem is writing the damn thing. I know exactly what I want, I know exactly what I want to do with the camera, but writing it in a screenplay is so hard, no matter how well you know the story in your head. Mind you, this film and Prisoners by Denis Villeneuve, which we'll get to later, was another big creative influence for the film that I'm writing. Not on like a personal level, but just like a story and tone and like style level. Forrest Gump. It's Forrest Gump. Frozen. Furious 7. It's the only Fast and Furious movie I own just because it was super cheap at a thrift store. Get Out. Obviously. Ghostbusters 1 and 2. Here's a digibook. Here's another one. Wow, I forgot this was a digibook. Yep, it is. Digibook. Nice. Haven't seen the second one in a long time. Probably just because I remember it was not the greatest, but I have to rewatch it. David Fincher's The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. A Gladiator. I saw this in 5th grade I was recommended this from my 5th grade social studies teacher. Probably not a good idea recommending an 11-year-old watch Gladiator, but I watched it and it's great. My one problem I've always had, it's actually not really this movie's fault, but Hans Zimmer, the score for this movie is identical to the Pirates of the Caribbean score, and it really pisses me off. But whatever. The Godfather trilogy, I need to get the third movie again because apparently Francis Coppola re-edited the third movie so it doesn't suck anymore. Not sucks, but like it's not as mediocre. But I need to rewatch. I need to watch that cut because I'm intrigued by it. Gone Girl. Very, I can't tell if this movie's underrated or if it's praised like it should be because somebody will go on Twitter and say that it freaking sucks, and then the same person the next day will go on there saying it's a masterpiece. People cannot decide how to feel about this movie, but I think it's wonderful. Goodfellas, Martin Scorsese, one of the best movies ever made. A 3-pack. Who remembers 3-packs, right? Goonies, Gremlins, and Gremlins 2. Haven't watched Gremlins 2 because who the hell wants to watch Gremlins 2, but Goonies and Gremlins, both great movies. Fun fact, Gremlins and Temple of Doom were the reason that PG-13 was invented, but I'm sure you probably already knew that. Grand Budapest Hotel by Wes Anderson. Weird as hell, but in the best way possible. The Grey with Liam Neeson. Haven't seen it, but I know what the ending is, and that's part of the reason why I haven't watched it, because the ending is so ass. But I want to watch it one of these days. Guardians of the Galaxy and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Some of my favorites in the MCU, and Guardians 2 is top tier MCU, but you guys are not ready for that conversation. Hacksaw Ridge, gorgeous, gorgeous war movie. Halloween, the original classic, not any of those crappy remakes. However, the 2018 version was pretty good. I actually liked that one quite a bit. Harry Potter, 8-film collection. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows 2. Again, just because I had an old copy of it. The Hateful Eight with the super sweet slipcover that opens up like that. Gorgeous, gorgeous material. I remember I had wanted to buy this movie forever, and I refused to because everywhere I went didn't have the slipcover, and it was upsetting me because you know how after a while when a new film is released, they stop bringing new editions to stores with slipcovers on? That was starting to happen with this movie, and I was running out of time. And just when I was starting to lose hope, I was at Target, not even meaning to buy any movies that day, but I just happened to walk by, and I saw this there, and I snatched it faster than I've ever snatched a movie off a shelf before, specifically because of the sexy-ass slipcover. Look how freaking gorgeous that is. Really good movie, too. Hereditary, modern horror masterpiece. The Hobbit trilogy, the extended edition ones. Don't know why in the hell I own this movie, but Home, Hunger Games, Catching Fire, and Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2. I don't own the first part. There's not really any reason why I don't. I just don't. It's not because I hate it or anything. I just don't own it. We got Catherine Bigelow's The Hurt Locker, monumental film, especially for female directors, when Catherine won the Oscar for director at that Oscar season. Ikiru by Kurosawa. I actually haven't seen this film yet, but I'm kicking myself because I haven't, because I've been dying to watch it for so long, but I'm waiting for the right moment to watch it, you know, because I know what to expect going in. I know what I'm getting myself into, and I just need to be in the right mindset to really absorb it in and appreciate it for the masterpiece that I'm expecting it to be. The Imitation Game. Inception by Chris Nolan. Really nice steelbook. Independence Day. This movie's on the 1001 movies to see before you die list. Can you believe that? Frickin' Independence Day. Probably because of the visual effects. The visual effects are pretty awesome, especially for the 1990s. The Indiana Jones 4-film collection. Also, Last Crusade is better than Raiders. Bite me. Inside Out. Gorgeous film. Interstellar. This is another movie that's similar to Gone Girl that film people can never decide how the hell they feel about, because one minute they'll say it's a masterpiece and another minute they'll say that it's pretentious garbage. I think it's not quite a masterpiece, just shy of it, but it's absolutely wonderful. Isle of Dogs by Wes Anderson, one of my favorite stop-motion animation films ever. Wes Anderson makes masterpieces out of that style of animation. It's a gorgeous film. It, not It Chapter 2, for obvious reasons, but first It. Great movie. Nice lenticular slipcover with the clown. It Comes at Night, one of the best horror films of the 21st century. Absolutely stellar film. If the marketing campaign wasn't such shit, maybe people would actually appreciate this movie for what it is, but it's nothing short of a masterpiece, in my humble opinion. Absolute guilty pleasure coming up next. Jack the Giant Slayer. I remember seeing this in theaters when I was 10 years old. It was awesome. It was like, and I saw it without parents. It was like the first PG-13 movie I saw in theaters without a parent. It was epic experience. Ewan McGregor's in that movie too. Can you believe that? Jack Reacher. This movie's whatever. The second one absolutely sucks, but this one's fine. John Wick. John Wick Chapter 2. Super awesome steelbook. And John Wick Chapter 3. Nice. Got the whole trilogy. Joker. The movie that has incited thousands of school shootings despite inciting none. Jurassic World. Not Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, because that movie's a sin. The Killing of a Sacred Deer. I love the slipcover for this movie because it's all wackadoodle. Just like the movie, it's all out of sorts. This is another Yorgos Lanthimos film from 2017. I saw this with my dad in the theater, and he absolutely hated it just because he didn't understand it. And it is so unnerving in the creepiest and most original possible way, and it just progresses to one of the most simple but insane endings in a movie like this I've ever seen. It's just wholly original and its own thing, and I adore it. Kingsman: The Secret Service, the original, great movie. Love the style. Nice little James Bond parody homage kind of thing. It's great. I love how I said I wasn't going to talk about each movie individually, even though that's exactly what I'm doing. Check on my microphone. My microphone, aka my phone. King Kong, the extended cut from 2005. The extended cut of a 3-hour-long King Kong movie. That's perfect. That's such a Peter Jackson thing to do. Make a 3.5-hour King Kong movie when the original is like an hour and a half. It's way too long, but it's a Peter Jackson movie. It's about spectacle. But I really like the slip. I really like the steelbook. It's very comic booky. They made a lot of these very briefly. They made a Jurassic Park one, a Fast and the Furious one, but this is the only one of this style I have. Kubo and the Two Strings. Insanely underrated. Watch it. It is, especially if you look up featurettes about this movie and just how much time it took to get every detail right, it is revolutionary. A Kubrick 3-pack. I got this before I got the collection, so it's 2001, Clockwork Orange, and The Shining. La La Land. One of my favorite steelbooks. Again, like E.T., no words to describe how much this movie means to me. Don't badmouth it in front of me, or I will destroy your life. This movie changed the way I feel about film and pursuing film as a whole. It means the absolute world to me. Martin Scorsese's The Last Temptation of Christ on Criterion. I haven't seen it, but I need to. Yeah, there's that. The Lego Movie. Revolutionary. One of the best. I keep saying revolutionary because I own a lot of revolutionary movies. But it is the biggest surprise, I think, of any movie ever, let alone an animated film. Everyone expected it to suck, and it was a masterpiece. The Lego Batman movie, not a masterpiece, but it is so much fun, and it's better than any Batman movie we've gotten in recent years. The Lion King. This was another movie that was half destroyed in the flood. As you can see, there's the slipcover's kind of destroyed and all that stuff, and the packaging's kind of wonky, but I was upset because I really liked this slipcover because it was one that came out of the Disney Vault, but it's still in pretty good condition. Logan. The Lord of the Rings trilogy, the extended cut. Fun fact, this was the first Blu Ray item I ever bought on my own and what launched my collection. This thing's it's really old and flimsy, but it will always hold a special place in my heart. This little old feeble box set. Except we've got M by Fritz Lang from 1931, a German film. I remember, I was probably about 12 years old, and I was signed up to take this, sorry, I'm going to move the cover up a bit. I was signed up to take a summer film class, and the teacher ended up hurting his knee really bad and had to get surgery, so the class was canceled, but we had one 30-minute session, and he was telling us about the importance of studying old classic foreign cinema, like French New Wave, like Jean-Luc Godard, Fritz Lang, Federico Fellini, all of those people. And the first film he recommended to me was Fritz Lang's M from 1931. He said, if you want to start with old classic foreign films, start with this. And I actually didn't watch it for the first time until about a year ago. So it took me 5 years to finally watch it, even though I had watched plenty of other foreign classics before then. And it is so influential and no one knows about it. It is the OG psychological thriller. Some of the stuff that he does with the camera in this film is kind of like what Orson Welles did with Citizen Kane, where no one saw it before, and it's so stylistic and original that even watching it today, lots of the shots surprised me at how inventive they were. A movie from 1931, mind you. That just goes to show how gorgeous it is. And the lead performance by the pedophile is one of the best performances ever, really. It makes you sympathize with the guy and understand where he's coming from, even though he's this horrible, despicable person. It's just a fascinating, fascinating film, and I really hope more people seek this out because it's very influential for film, and not a lot of people know that. Mad Max Fury Road, one of the best action movies ever. Make Way for Tomorrow, 1937, classic on Criterion. I like to describe this movie as if the first 10 minutes of Up were a 90-minute film. It is a huge punch to the gut, but it is absolutely beautiful, and it was an inspiration for Tokyo Story by Yasujiro Ozu. That's the director's name, Yasujiro Ozu's Tokyo Story. This movie was a major inspiration for that film. I don't even know how I discovered this, but I found it somewhere, and I watched it, and it was absolutely gorgeous. I think it might have been the same film class that had that recommended to me, actually. Maleficent? It's whatever. It's Maleficent. Man of Steel? It's whatever. It's Man of Steel. Manchester by the Sea? Gut punch of a film. Gut-wrenching, but absolutely astounding. The Matrix trilogy, another 3-pack! We got another 3-pack, folks! It's the Matrix trilogy. Maze Runner. Not that bad, especially for a YA movie. It was one of the last semi-decent YA movies we had, so it's fine. It's the only good one in the Maze Runner franchise, anyway. We've got Memento by Chris Nolan. I remember I was always fascinated by this movie when I was growing up because of the concept, and I had been dying to watch it for years, and when I watched it for the first time, it absolutely blew me away. The style and the writing and the story structure, it's just so meticulous and just absolutely gorgeous and perfectly done. The original Men in Black, $1 Million Baby, extremely underrated and overlooked Clint Eastwood film. I think it's absolutely wonderful. I know it won Best Picture, but it kind of faded into the limelight after that, and I'm upset by that because it's great. Minions, Minority Report, Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, and Mission Impossible Fallout, some of the best modern action movies ever, especially Ghost Protocol and Fallout. Fallout especially, this movie is insanely good. Moana, slightly overrated, but I enjoy it. I think the music's really good. Chaplin's Modern Times, love this film, absolutely love it. Mwah. Such a beautiful satire about corporate America that is sadly still relevant today, 90 years later. Monsters University, don't know why I own this and not Monsters Inc. Moonrise Kingdom, another Wes Anderson film on Criterion. It's wonderful, like all Wes Anderson movies. Mother, I made the life-altering error to see this in the theater with my mother. This movie's a nightmare. Mulholland Drive, this is my favorite movie ever. Just on a technical level and a personal level, it has everything. I remember the first time I watched it 3 times in 24 hours, just so I could try to unpack everything. It's mystery, it's about Hollywood, it's a romance, it's got all of my favorite things rolled up into one. It's my favorite movie. My Neighbor Totoro. Look at the packaging on this thing. I didn't know that they were making stuff. I saw a copy of this and a copy of Princess Mononoke at Target, and gorgeous packaging. I didn't get Mononoke, though, just because I didn't have the money for it at the time. Dan Gilroy's Nightcrawler. Wonderful thriller. A Nightmare on Elm Street, the original. No Country for Old Men. Masterpiece. Oblivion. I remember I wanted to see this movie when it first came out, and my parents saw it before me, and they told me it was... My dad hated it, and my mom thought it was fine, and I thought it was pretty good. I haven't seen it in years, so it might be awful now with fresh eyes, but I remember liking it. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, one of my favorite Tarantino movies, actually. I think it's going to get a lot better with age. We've got Oz the Great and Powerful. Not that great of a movie, it's fine. Pacific Rim, monsters and robots punching each other in the balls. What else could you want? Pan's Labyrinth. The first Criterion Eric Hartman ever bought was Pan's Labyrinth. Fun fact. Parasite. You've heard everyone talk about Parasite ad nauseum at this point. We've got Stanley Kubrick's war film Paths of Glory on Criterion. The original Peter Pan out of the Disney Vault. Lots of nostalgia for this one. Paul Thomas Anderson's Phantom Thread. I saw this film at the Music Box in Chicago for the first time, and that was actually the place that I saw the trailer for Hereditary for the first time, was at the Music Box Theater. So this is the perfect movie to see at the Music Box. It is, if you've ever been to Chicago and you've gone to the Music Box Theater, this is the perfect film to see there. It is ravishing to look at. Costumes, acting, performances, everything about that movie is just chef's kiss. The volume 1 of the Pixar short films. I didn't even know how the hell this movie came into my possession, but I'm glad it did because they're great shorts. Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and War for the Planet of the Apes. One of the best modern trilogies, probably since the Dark Knight trilogy. Wonderful movies. Portrait of Lady on Fire. So happy this got a Criterion release this early because it gives less people an excuse to not watch this masterpiece. It's one of my favorite movies of the entire decade. Predator. I really don't like this movie, and I know a lot of people do. I keep trying to give it chance after chance, and I can't get into it. Sorry. The Prestige. Wonderful, wonderful Chris Nolan movie. The Princess Bride on Criterion, but it's like a digibook, and it's nice. Got nice fabric, like a storybook. It says "As You Wish" on the back. I'm very surprised this has a Criterion release, just because it's not the kind of movie that Criterion would usually get their hands on, but I'm glad it does, because it's just, I love the way it's packaged, and it's very nice. Prisoners, talked about this earlier. Prometheus, very underrated in my opinion, I like it a lot. Psycho, really nice steelbook for it, I love the color scheme. Pulp Fiction, I mean, obviously, it's Pulp Fiction. Rango, haven't seen this in a very long time, but I remember it being out of this world amazing, and I just got this copy very recently at a thrift store. And you can tell because there's a lottery ticket on the front of it to win a 2011 Ford Escape. That's how you know that you went to a thrift store when you buy movies. Ratatouille, absolute favorite Pixar film, one of my favorite movies ever. Chef's kiss, pun intended. Red, stupid as hell, but it's awesome. Reservoir Dogs, kind of overrated in my opinion. It's still great, but it's one of Quentin Tarantino's weaker screenplays in my opinion. Schindler's List, one of the most important movies ever made. Beautiful. The score is one of the best ever. Of course, it's John Williams. It defies words. It's an experience is what it is. It's not a film, it's an experience. The Revenant with Leonardo DiCaprio, man. Won his Oscar for this, finally. I remember seeing this movie in the theater, and there was like an 8-year-old girl there who was like laughing her ass off at the bear attack scene. I just wanted to drop kick her like a soccer ball. Rosemary's Baby on Criterion. Saving Private Ryan, one of the best war films ever. Scarface with Al Pacino. Seven, phenomenal, David Fincher. Seven Samurai, Akira Kurosawa. This is the reason that we have Star Wars, so hug it close, hug it tight. This movie's 3.5 hours long, and it feels like 2, so don't let that runtime intimidate you. It is essential viewing for anybody, especially people that are fans of cinema. Like, if you haven't seen this movie yet and you're a fan of cinema, what the hell are you doing with yourself? It is ravishing. The Seventh Seal on Criterion. I haven't finished this yet, but I need to because it's Ingmar Bergman, and he's a master, and he's very important to the film industry. The Shape of Water. I remember the first time I saw it, I thought it was kind of stupid, but upon subsequent viewings, I adore it. I absolutely adore this film, more than a lot more people, actually. It's one of Guillermo del Toro's best, in my opinion, behind Pan's Labyrinth. I think Pan's Labyrinth is still better than this movie, but by a lot, obviously, because it's Pan's Labyrinth, but this movie is definitely my second favorite film of his. Shaun of the Dead. Another one of those like comic book looking steelbooks. Hilarious movie, wonderful satire, Cornetto trilogy. Shawshank Redemption, one of the best movies ever. Sicario, one of my favorite crime thrillers of the 2010s probably. Really nice performances and score and cinematography. Side effects. I won this movie in a raffle, and I haven't seen it, and I really want to because I've heard it's great. It's Steven Soderbergh, I think. Silence of the Lambs on Criterion. Love the packaging for this thing. Nice, like, box set looking thing. Really nice special features. Skyfall. Another copy of Skyfall because the one I had in the Bond 50 collection got scratched to hell because my house flooded. Nice. Sleeping Beauty, one of the OG Disney princess movies. Spectre, the most recent Bond movie. Spirited Away, Hayao Miyazaki's masterpiece from Studio Ghibli. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. The Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. And Spider-Man Homecoming. I don't know Spider-Man Far From Home just because I don't find it necessary. Split, wonderful movie. And A Star Is Born, the most recent one with Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga. All right, J.J. Abrams' Star Trek Into Darkness, and Star Trek Beyond. I really like that trilogy. I do, I think it's really fun. The Star Wars Not Complete Anymore saga with the first 6 films in it. Rogue One, Force Awakens, The Last Jedi. I love the Steelbook. Oh my god, I love it. It's gorgeous. I don't own The Rise of Skywalker for obvious reasons. The Steven Spielberg Director's Collection. It has Duel, his first TV movie. Sugarland Express, his first feature. Jaws, 1941, a shitty-ass comedy. E.T., the copy that got scratched. Always, another bad movie. Jurassic Park and Jurassic Park 2 in it. Lots of weird movies in this collection that I would not expect in a Spielberg collection, but, I mean, gives people access to them, right? I guess. Suicide Squad Extended Cut. Sunset Boulevard. It's a, oh god, what's his name? What's the director's name? Billy Wilder. I'm sorry, I forgot about that. Billy Wilder film from 1950. Wonderful performance, great thriller, wonderful script. Amazing film. What is this? Sunshine! Haven't seen this yet, but I really like Danny Boyle, and I like the concept for this movie, so I'm intrigued by it, for sure. Super 8. This movie is very near and dear to my heart, especially with this metal packaging. This movie came out at the perfect time for me. I was 8 years old when this movie came out, and it was my Stranger Things. It was my It. It was my Stephen King novel. This was that movie for me. Suspiria from 2018, the best horror film of the 21st century. Sorry about it. This is the best horror film of the 21st century, and I stand by that 100%. If you haven't seen it, watch it now. Taken. Taxi Driver, Martin Scorsese. It's the 40th anniversary edition of Taxi Driver. The Terminator. Love this slipcover, by the way. It's awesome. Terminator 2, Judgment Day. The Theory of Everything, the Stephen Hawking biopic with Eddie Redmayne. Really nice performance. There Will Be Blood, one of the best films and performances ever made. John Carpenter's The Thing, great body horror movie. 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, one of my favorite movies of the 2010s. Amazing performances, script, cinematography, everything in this movie is absolutely off the charts in every possible way. James Cameron's Titanic from 1997. Toy Story 3, I don't own the first 2 just because Disney movies are expensive as hell. No other reason besides that. Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, and Transformers Dark of the Moon. I actually like 1 and 3. The second one, no. True Grit and True Grit, the original and the remake. Funny story was my aunt, I asked for the remake. I asked for the 2010 version, the Coen Brothers version for Christmas one year, and my aunt ordered it for me, but Amazon sent her the wrong package, and I got the steelbook for the John Wayne version from the 1960s. So I obviously grinned and bared. I didn't say anything, obviously. But then what was funny was the very next year, my aunt got me the correct version for Christmas. So nice little story there. Uncut Gems, Adam Sandler's best performance, obviously. That's an anxiety attack of a movie, and it makes me never want to gamble on anything in my life, especially sports games. Unbroken, not a bad movie, just very Oscar baity. Up, Us, The Usual Suspects. Great twist ending, obviously. And The Witch. Really nice horror movie. Really, really nice horror movie. All right, we're coming down to the wire. We're at the last few here. We're on W. Wall-E, masterpiece. Whiplash, masterpiece. Wind River, not a masterpiece, but pretty good. Pretty good movie. I like the style of it. Nice thriller. Wings, 1927, the original Best Picture winner. Haven't seen it yet. I love that one scene with the giant runner across the tables that Rian Johnson used in the Star Wars movie. Love that scene. Wizard of Oz, obviously. This was one of the first movies I ever saw as a kid, was Wizard of Oz. The Wolverine, the extended cut with the R rating and lots of blood. The original Wonder Woman. World War Z. X-Men. X2. X-Men 3: The Last Stand. X-Men First Class. And X-Men Apocalypse. And Zootopia. Wonderful, wonderful movie. Great Disney movie. That's everything. That's everything. If anybody wanted to count how many movies I actually have, I think it's like close to 400, something like that. Yeah, if anybody has that kind of time, let me know, because I'd love to know. But thank you for watching. Thanks for sticking around this long. And before my microphone dies, aka my phone, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.